Thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with this Nigeria newspaper. It says, after 197 days, ASUU says strike now indefinite. We have met 80% of their demands, federal government speaking. Membership of striking union not compulsory for state varsities. All right, you find all of that detail on the front page of this Nigeria newspaper. And to the front page of the Leadership newspaper now. After 199 days of industrial action, ASUU loses ground as more state varsities pull out of strike. Pro-chancellors want union democratized as lecturers extend strike indefinitely. You find the details on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. To the front page of the Daily Trust now. No more negotiation with federal government. ASUU declares indefinite strike. Lecturers resigning in droves at Unilag. They are heartless, NANS. That's the National Association of Nigerian Students reacting. Their decisions are not binding on state varsities, pro-chancellors speaking as well. And to the front page of the First News newspaper, crisis, something will happen in PDP soon. Crisis, something will happen in PDP soon. Governor Nyesom Wike speaking there. And to the front page of the Nation newspaper, PDP crisis setback for Atiku Wike reconciliation. Atiku's men rally party organs for Chairman Ayu. Something will happen soon, says Rivers Governor. That's Governor Nyesom Wike speaking. And to the front page of the Blueprint newspaper, 2023 budget. Federal government to finance expenditure with 11.3 trillion naira loan. Proposes 19.76 trillion naira estimate. Projects 12.41 trillion naira deficit, up from 7.35 trillion naira 2022 to generate 206.1 billion naira from privatization proceeds. Mike?
Yeah. All right, on this side, we're starting with the Punch newspaper. Punch says 19.76 trillion naira budget proposal, 12 trillion naira deficit worries federal government, debt may hit 54 trillion naira. Revenue shortfalls to hamper capital projects funding. And federal government says insecurity threatens FDIs as a foreign direct investments. That's the Punch newspaper. And then let's move to Nigerian News Direct. And it's focusing on 2023. It says federal government proposes 19.76 trillion naira budget of 12.41 trillion naira deficit. Projects 6.34 trillion naira revenue, targets 373.17 billion naira oil revenue, and 5.97 trillion naira from non-oil sector. Okay. It's all money, money, money on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct there. Let's move to Abuja Inquirer, and it's focusing on insecurity this time. Abuja turns to local vigilante, beefs up security in rural communities, set September target for G7 joint security operations, and FCT police get additional personnel. All that coming from the Federal Capital Territory. And Business Day is the last one we're looking at on my side. CBN loans to federal government hit 20.61 trillion naira. That's a story on the front page of Business Day. CBN loans to federal government hit 20.61 trillion naira. Wow, it's okay.
And the federal government is still looking to borrow more.
No, they'll keep borrowing. They'll keep borrowing.
With regards to the budget, that's our focus this morning on the papers, talking about the 2023 budget. The government is looking to borrow more, and it has proposed about 19.76 trillion naira estimate, and there is a deficit 11.3 trillion with regards to that budget, and it's looking to borrow. And there are concerns that the revenue shortfall may hamper capital projects funding in 2023.
It's not a very cheering piece of news that we are in such a situation where we keep asking the CBN to give us money. It is not clear whether the CBN is printing money or whether the CBN is mopping up money. We need to know. We need some kind of transparency on that. And the fact that the economy is such a situation that we don't have reserves to use, and we have to just leap in the dark to get financing is quite worrisome. We have so much projects to pursue, and what usually happens in situations like this is that when you have to take money, you take the money to create what Keynes called demand pool. You put the money into the system in order to lift the economy. You're not just pouring the money into an empty or into an ocean for it to just wash up. There's a productive turn to it. But then there has to be an economic strategy to all of this. So you don't just start taking money without economic strategy. What do you do with it? How do you borrow money and account for it? We borrowed last year, we are borrowing again, and we have these major projects to do. When people collect money like this, they say this project, if we use this rail, we are going to get a lot of workers, so that these workers themselves will get salaries, and then with that you get the economy going. There's demand, there's supply, there's a chain of economic activities that gets it going. But when you get a train and you get foreign workers to come and do it, and the money is going to them, you're actually not stimulating the economy. The loan is actually going to where it's coming from. You still have to pay back the loan. So we have to really look at this economy. Unlike the case of the blue rail and red rail, you know that Lagos is doing, is funded within the country. So the money is actually circulating within the Lagos economy. So we have to think about some of these things, and we need more transparency about where the money is coming from and what are the terms of it and what is the strategy to make this money fruitful.
Absolutely.
Now, what I see there is that we have a challenge of leaks within the system. The money that is found, or the money that is available within the Nigerian space, can transform the whole of West Africa. But the point there is that the money is at the disposal of government, where government uses the money to stimulate the economy, like he's saying, keeps depleting because there are so many leaks within the system. Recall when this administration started in 2015, where they talked about the TSA, and all of that.
Treasury
Everybody thought that it was going to block. In fact, the promise was that, or the projection was that, it was going to block every leak and then have all these monies, mop them up into one account so that when money goes out, you can monitor it better. And then when money comes in, everybody knows what the thing is. But eventually, after a little while, we saw that monies are leaking all over the place. Number two is that a lot of companies or even small-scale industries that are supposed to be paying taxes are not paying taxes. So within the tax net, you don't have up to 60% of those who are supposed to be paying taxes within the tax net. Some are under-declaring. So you have all of that within the system, and that boils down back to the issue of data. Because when you don't have the accurate data for who is where and what are they doing and how much are they making, as the case may be, where you are estimating that this company is here, you should be making this kind of amount of money because you fall in this band or this category, so this should be how much you're supposed to pay. When you have situations like that, then you're going to be shooting yourself in the foot as a government if you don't have data. Then another thing is a private sector participation. We need that seriously at a time like this.
But oftentimes what you get from them is that there's no conducive environment for them to thrive and for them to now participate with government.
That is not putting it the way it's supposed to be. You have European companies, American companies, Asian companies looking at the Nigerian space, they understand the markets that we have.
Right.
If they are moving into Nigeria to come and do their own businesses, then why can we not attract them to do the business in our space? So the point there is that there is a conducive environment for businesses to thrive. We know that we have security challenges here and there in some part of the country. Yet it is in the space, in the presence of that security, that companies from outside the country, especially Asian companies,
But we also have
into
companies,
Nigeria.
other companies leaving the country, Mike.
Yeah,
you
of course.
and I are aware of this.
Yeah.
We also have the issue of even some airlines now having issues with our government because they cannot get their funds. You have all of those bottlenecks.
That's
Even
in the system.
Falana was here the other day. We was talking about the oil majors owing us in trillions.
Yes.
And they are trying to hush it up. And the matter is going to be prosecuted and make sure they get our monies. We have money everywhere in this country.
There's money everywhere.
We have assets everywhere. We don't want to. In Lagos alone, the federal government assets that are here, that have been left moribund, are going to amount to trillions. But nothing has been done about them.
That's the issue. Why are we turning a blind eye when we know that there are
There are
issues
so
here
many.
and there?
There are so many areas to make money in Nigeria, Nigerian space, but it is one, lack of imagination, two, lack of will, and a sense that let us just live by our oil revenue. Now, oil revenue is not what it used to be. So
Right.
I think we need. We are in a situation where we need to task our imagination to look at our
To
economic
think
growth.
outside of the
country
box.
that has mineral resources in every local government. We have natural agricultural potential everywhere. We have human resources, and we are talking like this. America was like that when it started. I mean, read the history, any book on the American history on the origins. They say, well, America began with so much natural resources, so much, whether it's mineral resources, whether it's agricultural resources, even the oil. America doesn't want to use its own oil. It has oil, it likes to buy oil. It wants to start what they call strategic reserves,
Exactly.
and so on. So we are always saying that we have this resource course in Africa, that the fact that we have resources, they are a course. It's just a simplistic way of dodging the fact that our problem is that we need leaders who will face the issues and not start chasing how to enrich themselves.
Yeah.
Perhaps this is why a lot of persons have called for true federalism, where, you know, states with some of these natural resources can engage these resources and make monies from them for the country.
Yes, there is the call for true federalism, and we, of course, will support that notion or support that strategy. We've had it before. In fact, when we said Nigeria worked in the 60s and all of that, and we're making references to the Republican Constitution, that was the period of time Nigeria was at its peak.
Absolutely.
Where Nigeria was said to be lending monies to other countries and lending monies to international organizations, as the case may be. That was the period of time that the Prime Minister of Nigeria will travel to the United States or anywhere in the world, and is given a red carpet welcome right from the airport. So the point there is, we've had this before. Those who are even holding the strings and preventing Nigeria from moving to that space were those who benefited, were those who were around to see Nigeria. Some of us were not born in the 60s, but we read so much, did research about the 60s. We understood how Nigeria benefited from the 60s, or within the 60s, as the case may be. All the pyramids and all the cocoa house and everything, they were all in the 60s.
And 70s.
And 70s,
actually.
exactly.
And the 60s. The 60s were not so rosy.
The 60s laid the foundation.
The 60s, we had the Civil War,
Yeah.
and so on. What was towards the end of the 60s, early 70s, that we had this
There was a boom.
oil
There was a boom.
And Gowon said, our problem is not making money,
It's
but
not
how to spend it.
And that was the same period of time that
Now, our
Singapore-
problem is making money. It's how to make money or how to borrow money.
It was the same period of time that statement was made that Singapore was being conceived and put into, today we talk about, in fact, Lee Kuan Yew and his Third World to Second World. Almost everybody has read that book, as the case may be. We talk about United Arab Emirates. This was the period of time somebody sat down somewhere and was
Visionary
conceiving
leaders.
all of those ideas. So the point there is, we have everything here, but we can't keep depending on mineral resources, natural resources, We have it in quantum. It is
But we
time
have
to
all of them, but
transform-
we are not using them.
Yeah,
We are not using them.
it is time to transform all those natural resources into artificial resources, because we are moving into the world of artificial resources where people sit down. Artificial intelligence, you're talking of 5G, you're talking of metaverse, you're talking about some digital things that will transform life. Young boys, young girls, young children are making so much money from just artificial intelligence. That is what the world is going to right now.
Absolutely.
So we need to change the way that the traditional way of running economy and all of that. Nigeria is lagging behind.
Really lagging behind. And also there's also the aspect of cutting the cost of governance, which a lot of persons do not like to hear about. Reducing the cost when it comes to governance.
Yeah, cost of governance is one of the problems that we have had over the years. One of the ways that we wanted to deal with it was to aggregate some of the government agencies.
Yes.
And people have resisted it because it's a way of cutting pork. They are taking away positions from the political family. So you are trying to choke that family in order to help the bigger family. So the smaller family says, no, we have to keep eating. And so that is part of the tension. You know, there are so many agencies, so many of them, if you mention them, many Nigerians don't know they exist. And
that was why there was the Steve
all of them have
report.
DGs. That's the Steve Orosanye report.
Yes.
All of them have DGs and all of that. And then you also have a case where people have to get so many advisors, assistants, and some of them, they're all there receiving salaries, doing virtually nothing. But it's what Richard Joseph calls the economy of affection, where you have to make sure that you create an economy where you keep all your uncles and your aunties and your dependents, your nieces and your niece's friend, your uncle's in-law, your in-laws,
but that's how we operate in Africa.
And so on.
If my brother is here, I should benefit from it.
So when we create such elaborate system of patronage, we destroy the capacity for productivity. And all of that choke resources rather than liberate resources for economic use. And when you want to really do work with your resources, people say, what work? Send the money. There was one senator who said once that he went to his constituency and he said that this is the money I have, and what I want is you guys should come with ideas so that we can get this money useful to our constituents. And the people said, which ideas? What's this man talking? God, let us now share the money. What are you talking about? Share the money to everybody and let us go. What are you talking about? Ideas.
That's
the right
sad
proposal.
reality.
To do what when the money is here?
Can you imagine?
There was one governor too who also called stakeholders, and he was talking about some development projects that I wanted to do. I said, which development projects? Look, I need money. So all of them started telling the governor, you have to share the money. And if you don't share the money, they will all go back and say, let's plot against this governor. I don't think he's ready for a second term or is ready to govern this state. So,
that's the sad reality.
Those are the kind of trap force we have in government. And when we see that somebody is corrupt and we say, oh, this man is slammed with 2 billion, 5 billion, 10 billion fraud, he probably doesn't have more than 500 million inside. He has given Uncle Jim, he has given Uncle Solo, he has given Uncle Bimbo, he has given the other man who helped him, and all of them are free. But you carry the
exactly, carry the burden, you carry the cost.
Right.
So it's difficult to talk about cost of governance because there's cost to the governor.
Anyway, it won't take long before all of this, because when we see value in the naira and kobo, the paper money, that's where value is. You see money either in dollars or whatever currency the thing is seen as a pile-up of value. That is going to change very soon. Where we put value is not going to be in the paper money as we used to know it anymore.
It's just like we have pot of gold.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's this this Greek play, pot of gold, where everybody's looking for the pot of gold to get in. It's an elusive pot of gold, but the pot of gold is there. So it's in everybody's imagination.
It's in everybody's imagination.
So you have to go and get the pot
Exactly.
of gold. So anything you get, anything to get that pot of gold. So you're not even interested in any other thing rather than collecting the pot.
Exactly. That you may never see.